different types of data. The one thing we're going to work on today is extensible markup language files. So if you go to tutorial under module 11, and we're going to take this data.xml, and I want you to save it somewhere where you can find it. Okay. And then we're going to take a few minutes and talk about what XML is. You guys able to save it somewhere? Robbie?
I need to save it.
You can right click on it and then save as. It probably opens up in the web. Okay, let's talk about what XML is first. Okay, XML stands for Extensible Markup Language. So it's a markup language. If anyone, probably some class somewhere, have seen HTML, Hypertext Markup Language, which is a tag-based kind of thing, right? There's tags for bolding text. There's tags for paragraphs. There's tags for hyperlinks. All those things. Well, there's also extensible markup language is kind of like open. Okay, you can define your own tags. You can say, I want a tag for, stock price. I want a tag for blah, blah, blah. You define the data. You define the organization. And as a broad term, it's something called a schema. Okay, a schema, S-C-H-E-M-A, is a structure that we provide of how we're going to store data. Okay, we can create our own schema. We can say this is the MECO schema. This is the type of data I want to receive. And if anything comes in that's not defined in that schema and says, hey, this isn't valid. I don't know what the hell this is. It's not defined in our schema. This is an example of an XML document, and you see it has some tags. Okay, for example, the big one, okay, it's a document tag. So the document is this tag, and it's referring out to w3.org, which is a worldwide consortium that does standards. And then it has various tags. Title is a tag, and in that title tag is the title of the document. There's a subtitle, there's a date, there's an author, there's a file name. And then we also see a tag for notes. And the notes has many, like there's notes, Horizons Fund information, there's 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is defined in this document. Most office productivity tools, like Microsoft Office, what it actually stores things behind the scenes is in an XML document because it's very open. So people use that structure all the time. So this is an XML file. Now, if we want to import something, it's important for Excel to understand the structure, right? Excel needs to understand, hey, this is, oops, I'm sorry about that. Miss Lehman, I can ignore that. Call her back. So it's important that we understand the structure, or Excel understands the structure. So let's go into Excel. And this is going to be done kind of in a different place. Okay, we're going to go over, remember we added the developer tab when we talked about macros and we recorded macros that way? Well, I'd like you to go to the developer tab, and on the one group you'll see, remember we did the code for macros, you'll see a source, okay, or XML. Okay, and we want to go to the source. Okay, so the source you see even has a little structure to it. It's saying this is how the data is going to be defined. So I want you to click on source, and then it brings up this little dialog on the right hand side. It says XML source, and I want you to click on XML maps. Okay. And it says, what are the maps that I have built in this workbook at this time? What are the maps, what type of data maps do I have in this workbook? And right now I don't have any. So I want to add a map. So I'm going to click on Add. And then I want to find that XML document I save somewhere. It's very small, 1 kilobyte, so it's .xml. And then click Open. Okay, now what it's saying is, hey, this literally isn't a map, this is data. So do you want me to create a map based on the data? And we'll say, yeah, sure, you do the recognize it, okay? So we're gonna click OK. And then let's rename, you guys with me? Let's click on that map and let's rename it to, it says document net map, that's general, let's just say Horizon Fund. And I'm going to click OK. So all it's done, we haven't imported any data at this point. Okay? All we've done is loaded in a map, like a hierarchy, of how the data is stored in that connection. And you see there's a hierarchy. It says, hey, at the very highest level, we have the document, whatever the hell this document is. You know, like it could be a Word document, whatever it is. And the subtags are title, subtitle, author, date, file name. And then the last thing is notes. And you notice notes looks a little different. And the reason it looks a little different is because there's multiple notes tags, right? There wasn't just one notes item. Remember, there was note 1, note 2, note 3, note 4, note 5, okay? So now that we have this schema defined, this XML map defined in our workbook, now we can use it. So here's what we're going to do. Let's go over to sheet 1 and let's just put title here. Let's put date here, author. That's good. And then let's skip a couple lines and we'll put data, for lack of a better word. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this title, okay, over here, and like I did on my pivot table, drag it over to B3. And it hasn't imported any data yet. Okay, all we're doing is mapping from that schema to this workbook. We're saying, hey, when we do import data, anything with the title tag, I want to put right there. Okay, let's take the date, crazily enough, and let's say, hey, anything with this date tag, when I finally do import the data, put it there. Anything with the author tag, put it there. And let's take the notes and put it here. Now notes was a little different. If you notice notes, it didn't just put a blank thing. What did it create? You can see at the top, what did it create? What's that? Yeah, there's a filter there, you're right, but what kind of Excel device did it create? It created a table, right? Because it recognizes, hey, there's multiple notes things that can be in here, so when I import it, I can't just be one place, it's going to have to be a table of data. All right, now by doing this, okay, by telling it about the schema, okay, and by telling it about where we want to put things, now if we go over to our data and we see in connections, and we've built a lot of connections. I just started out with a blank workbook, but if you start with our old one, you probably see connections for that database, you see connections for, you know, Microsoft stock quotes, you see connections for text files, all those good things. But you see a connection for that data.xml. And if I click, hey, let's refresh that, because we really haven't imported yet. We just kind of defined it. If I refresh and click close, you'll see now it imported all that data from that XML document. So we have Union Financial, we have the date, we have their author, and now we have that in. And there's XML is like, you ever seen like RSS feeds? You guys know what RSS feeds are? If you subscribe to a website and do, like say I want to see this kind of data. Those are all those exchanges are facilitated based on XML because it's very open. Okay, if you use Google Now, I don't know if anyone uses that on their Android phone. You guys know what I'm talking about? Okay, and it kind of learns your behavior and like what you search for and what you like, and then if you go to your Google Now, it says, hey, you like the Pittsburgh Pirates, so here's some articles about Pittsburgh Pirates. And it's using RSS feeds to bring that down to your phone. Okay? And it's like open source. And it says, I'm not going to bring the whole damn article down, right? You don't want the whole damn article. It just brings like the title of the article. And it knows that, hey, this is the title because that's RSS feed. And bring the author, maybe a picture that goes along with it. You guys know what I'm talking about? So that's what XML is. It's a way to exchange information, but allows me and you to set the boundaries. Like these are the things that I want to exchange. Okay? And there's a lot of standard XML formats out there, but we could build it. We could build our own XML format. So that's extensible markup language. That's all I really want to do with that. We don't, it's not a big deal, but it's kind of neat thing we can talk about. So any questions on that? Okay. Then let's do the in-class case, okay, which is pretty easy. Let's do that one for Module 11. This is Case 1 in Module 11, and it's on page 677. Okay, it says, Tim Croft is the owner of Croft Realty, a large real estate agency in Ames, Iowa. Tim wants to create tables of comparable sales price for homes listed in the area. He downloaded a text file containing the most recent sales listing that includes details such as price, age, size of the home, and its location with the city of Ames. You will import the data from the text file into Excel and then use that data to create a pivot table. The text file uses a delimited format in which one column is separated from the other using the / character. Complete the following. Okay. So what I would like you to do is let's go to Blackboard and let's find that data. So if I go back here, this is under Excel 11, this is Case 1, and you'll see homes.txt, which is telling us that that is a text file. What were the two types of text files we could have? Delimited and fixed width. Let's take a look at that. Let's open this one up. It opens it up in my browser. But look at this. What do you think this format follows? Is it delimited or is it fixed width? Someone?
Limited.
It is delimited, right? Because every field in this table is separated by something, right? It's not always in the same space. For example, this 11 to 20 takes more space than 20 plus. So this, I can't remember what this is, age, is not always in the same position. Here it's over in position 19, and here it's in position 20, 21. So it is delimited. It says, hey, the new field, I can tell you there's a new field because we delimit it with a slash, a /. That's not common. A lot of times, delimiters are commas. That's the most common one I've seen. But sometimes, I guess a / can be appropriate. So what I want you to do is save this somewhere. I don't care where you save it, but save it somewhere because we're going to go into Excel and import it. And start a new workbook so that we can import this. Great R. Okay, where are we going to import this data? What are we going to use to import this data? From text, right? Because we know it's a text file. So we're under the Data tab, and we're going to go to From Text. And then from there, we need to tell it, okay, let's go to that where I stored it was on my desktop, and there it is. Was it Homes? Yeah, Homes. And I'm going to import it. Okay, and it brings up the text import wizard, which is very useful to us. And it recognizes it already as delimited. Okay, it recognizes that it's not fixed width. Can't detect a pattern there, so it recognizes as delimited. And the first thing we want to set here is start input at what row do you think we want to start this at? Yeah, 5, okay, because we don't really care about these headings. Okay, we could import them and delete them later. But our data is really starting in row 5. So let's go down to row 5. Well, our headings for our data starts in row 5. Let's click Next. Okay, now it's giving Excel a little bit of issue here because it's saying, hey, you know, tab is the delimiter, and it really isn't tab. So it's not really, you don't see those like nice column breaks, right? I don't see like, hey, it recognizes this is separate as this. Remember when we did fixed width, it threw up some column breaks and we had to change some things. Remember those little lines, those vertical lines? Here it doesn't know what the hell's going on because it's looking for tabs. And really, it's, you know, these are the more common delimiters, tabs, semicolons, commas, spaces. But in this case, they chose to use something else. So I'm going to click on Other, and then I'm going to say, hey, look for a / to indicate that I have a new file. That / is not data, it is delimiter for data. You notice we're not importing that / at all. It just says, hey, every time I see a / you throw up a break, and that's what it's done. Okay, you see now it looks good. Now each of these things looks like appropriate data. So let's go on Next. We can click Finish now, but before we click Finish, there's some things that text asks us to do. It says, do not import the offer pending. Okay. So let's go over to Offer Pending. Click on that, and let's say Do Not Offer. Do not import. Okay. So you see what it's done is it says, hey, skip that column. You know, we don't want to deal with that, skip that column. It also doesn't want us to import annual tax column. So let's see where that is. That's the very next one. So click on that and say do not import. So we're skipping that column. And you see all of these are using the general format. And general format is usually a good thing to use because if it looks like a number, it treats it as a number. If it looks like a text, it treats it as text. But that age is a little screwed up. Okay, the age, it's a number, but it's really not a number. It's a range of numbers, like 0 to 10 or 20 plus. It's really a text. It's really a label. So I want to go to that age. And I'm going to change that from general to text because I just want to make sure that it knows, hey, this isn't really a number that I'm going to do calculations with. It's really a category, you know, like 814. It's nominal data. You guys, you know, remember stat class at all from this semester for many of you. So I think I'm done here. Okay, so it's going to import square footage, age, features, northeast sector, corner lot, offer, and it's going to skip these last two columns. And now I'm going to click Finish. Where does it want us to put this data at? It wants us to put this data in, it doesn't tell me, I don't think. So I'm just going to shove it in A1. Click OK. Okay, and we have our data. Now, he just doesn't want to import into Excel. Usually we import into Excel because, we're masters at Excel, and that is where we can analyze data, right? So if we get, outside sources, we can bring it into Excel, a tool that I can use. Here's where I can analyze it. And what Tim wants to do
is he wants to insert a new worksheet called Home Summary. In the Home Summary worksheet, and we can do that with just our pivot table, he wants to create a pivot table using the data on the home listings to show the average sales price of each home, and with currency and no decimal places. He wants to display the square footage as a row label and age as a column label and northeast sector as a report filter. Okay, so he wants to analyze the average sales price, and he wants to look at it by square footage, age, and he wants to be able to filter it by northeast sector. That is what? Our pivot table. And you guys should, that should be nothing for you, right? So let's do that. Okay, we're going to do what? Highlight the data, highlight it all. Go to Insert, Pivot Table, click OK. Okay, it says on the columns, on the rows, it wants the square footage. So I'm going to drag that down to rows. Here are the different categories. It wants age as a column label. Easy enough. There are the column labels. It wants northeast sector as a report filter. We can drag that down to report filter. And finally, it wants price as the data label. Now, it doesn't want, remember by default, we get count. Sometimes we get sum, depends on what it looks like. We don't want count here. What do we want for price? We want average. So I'm going to, a couple ways I can get there. Go down to value field settings, change count to average. It says it also wants it in currency format. So as I do that, I'm going to click number format. I'm going to try to click number format. There it is. I'm going to change it to currency, but I think it told us it didn't want any decimal places. So I'm going to click OK. See if my filter's working. That looks like it is. If I just want the nose, I can click the nose. If I want all again, I can click all. Okay, what are some other things that I could, in case it's pretty easy, I think we're almost done with it, but let's add on to it a little bit. What else could I do? If I was providing this to someone, and I really wanted them to have the ability to play around with the data, a couple things I could do is what? What could I do with, for example, the northeast sector filter to make it more user-friendly? What would I do with that to make it a little bit more user-friendly? More point and click, if you will. Yeah, I'd do a slicer with that. What if I'm not happy? Now, for example, this is too many. This is too many individuals, like 800 square foot homes, 1,200 square foot homes, 1,400 square foot homes. I don't want that. I want to treat I don't know, maybe every 500. I want to treat, anything under 1,000 as one. Anything 1,500 to 1,000 is another category. Maybe I don't want this many unique items here. How would I do that? Remember, we had that issue with like dates a lot of times, and we use this function for dates because we didn't want it by individual days. We might want it by month or quarter or year. What do we do there? Yeah, we could group it, right? So if we click on that and do group field, can specify do every 500 or do every 1,000, and then it'll eliminate, crash some of that. If we want to get rid of some of those labels, we could do that as well. If we want to get rid of the filters, we can do, if we want to get rid of the field headers, we can do that. The plus minus, but I wouldn't do anything with that. Yeah, too easy. Okay, so the grouping, it's starting at 800, ending at 3,800 by 1,000. Maybe we do starting at 500, ending at 4,000. And let's do buy 1,000. So now, you know, we have
A more compact listing, 500 to 1,500, 1,500, you know, so it's maybe more useful information. Okay. And I want you to create a documentation sheet with that guy.
and that's it. Okay, that was a real easy one. So create a documentation sheet,
Shove your name on there, and submit it under Blackboard. You should be good. The other thing, the other things are due for this module, Module 11. They're not due till Wednesday, April 23rd, which is the Wednesday after we come back. So basically a week from today. There's one case, which is case 2, which you can use. We have about 20 minutes left. You can use the rest of the time for a lab, and there's also a quiz. Now, the next case uses a couple other connections besides importing text. It's going to use the existing connection for currency rates. You guys know we imported the stock prices. Remember that was an existing connection, MS Money. There's one for currency rates. That's what the next case uses. And it also uses XML, which we just did the XML. So, you know, a little bit different kind of case. All right. Any questions on that? Okie dokie.